Welcome to the Renewing the Mind podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Sanchez. Joined with me for the second time ever, my beautiful bride, Alyseia. What's up?
Hello, feeling good.
Did you princess wave?
I think that's what I was doing. I don't know.
That was awkward. Hey, on this podcast, we teach you how to renew your perspective, move towards uncertainty, and find what's awesome about that in every situation. And never forget it. There's 2 times to be great: when you feel like it and when you don't. Welcome.
Welcome to you.
You glad to be here?
I'm so glad to be here. I'm very excited / nervous. I was just saying to him before we went live, I would much rather sing a solo right now in front of a big, huge group of people than do this. But I'm here. We're going to do it. It's going to be good.
And we're trying to get a new setup here, so give me a second because the camera... Okay, so you can look here. That's you.
Hello.
And then check this out. I'll look there. That's me.
Ooh.
And then we'll go here. All of us. Then I can hit this one. Watch this one. You can't see any of this.
I cannot. Okay.
So
I trust you.
This one is big of both of us and then small of you. And I can just swap it.
Wow.
Big of you, both of us.
That's a lot of me.
We got all the looks. All
Very
right.
cool.
If you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and give us a thumbs up so you can get notified anytime we go live. And if you're listening to the podcast, please give us a review, give us the 5 stars, give us a thumbs up. That way more people can hear about the podcast. And this is the new way we're going to move forward, only streaming on YouTube. Hopefully we got the 3-camera setup working. If there's an echo or something's wrong with our audio, please send me a text or let me know, or throw it in the comments and we can go from there. Okay.
All right.
Well, let's get started.
Yes.
God's miraculous healing.
Amen. It happened.
I want to start off by saying, we're not coming on here trying to brag or say like we're so holy that God did this. But we do want to let people know that God is in the miracle working business. We believe he's done miracles. You're an evidence of that.
Absolutely.
We believed it before this happened, and we're definitely going to believe it after this.
Yes.
And so we want to encourage people. We want to motivate people to trust and believe for God to do miracles in their life.
Yes.
Take it away.
All that.
All
All right. So if you're watching, you probably read the caption, and that's why you're here. I was healed of celiac disease, but I feel like we need to go back a little bit so we can get the full picture of how amazing and miraculous this truly is. So this reminds me of the song. Let's go back to the very beginning, a very good place to start.
From that one play.
It's the sound of music.
From the music. Yes.
All right. Anyway.
From the sound of music.
We're not going to go back to the...
By the way.
Yes, go ahead.
Alyseia has got her nervous blotches.
I knew it was coming.
I just want to let you know.
It's like a redhead thing, and it's just a me thing. I get nervous. I get blotchy.
You don't have to jump in the comments and say she has a skin disease or a rash.
Something's happening. Is she okay? I'm fine. I'm just nervous.
When she gets nervous, she gets blotchy.
I should have worn a turtleneck. That's my trick that I do is I wear turtlenecks.
Well, we're a little past that now, so take us
We're
away.
here. Okay.
You had celiac disease.
I had celiac disease, yes. So we're not going to go back to the very beginning of my life, but just when I was diagnosed. So I was officially diagnosed with celiac disease back in May of 2012. So we had literally been married like 6 months, and I started exhibiting like
No.
severe symptoms.
There was symptoms before that.
Yeah. So I would say I've been showing symptoms of this disease for 11 years.
11 and a half.
Yeah, but officially diagnosed for almost 11 years.
Continue.
So anyway, celiac disease, for those of you who don't know, is an autoimmune disease. And it is basically triggered by gluten. So my small intestine cannot process gluten. So when I eat gluten, it's basically like I'm eating a poison to my body, and my body attacks itself. So my symptoms can be anywhere from, if I were to eat just a little bit of cross-contamination gluten, it would be, sorry for the graphic details, but bloating, gas, diarrhea. And then if I were to accidentally, and I say accidentally because I took this very seriously, very strictly, eat like a whole piece of non-gluten-free bread or like a whole plate of pancakes, my body would be completely overwhelmed from that, and I would black out, pass out. It would basically knock me out for a couple days, and Tyler has seen this unfortunately happen a couple times over the years. So, and I don't say all of that for sympathy. I just want you to understand the severity of what this was for me. This is a disease. It has an official diagnosis through an endoscopy, done a biopsy of your small intestine. And it's not just like a little dietary choice I made where I cheated. I did not ever do that because it was that severe for me. So that brings us to March 16th. I was at an I Am Her.
I was at home babysitting.
You were. It's not babysitting if you're a dad. It is being a dad.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
I was gonna get you.
I knew you reeled me in with that one. So I was at a leader meeting for I Am Her, which is this amazing women's conference that our church puts on. And we were all just praying for that next night, which was going to be the night of the conference. Several of us leaders were there. At that point, there was about 15 of us left, and our Pastor Trish, she said, "Hey, why don't we all circle up and just pray for the needs of the leaders who are left?" And she said, if all of us leaders are feeling good, we're strong, we've prayed for each other's needs, tomorrow night's just going to be even that more powerful. Loved that. So we circled up, we were praying for other people in the middle of the circle. And then I said, you know what? I'm going to take advantage of this opportunity, and I'm going to have these amazing women pray over me so I can be healed of celiac disease. So I jumped in the middle. They all started praying for me. And I wish I could say that like I went into the night like anticipating this, or like thinking like, hey, I'm gonna be healed tonight. But that's not at all how it happened, which was so cool. And it just shows how amazing God is, that I just at the spur of the moment was like, I'm gonna take advantage of this opportunity, which I feel like is my first step of faith in this.
Are you gonna get into like, we went in seasons of like praying for it and not praying for it later, or can I talk about that now?
You go for it.
Okay. So as when you first got diagnosed, one of the biggest prayers was like, this is not something you're going to have to live with forever.
No.
Like, you're going to be healed from this. And that was, let's just say a couple years we prayed for that.
Yeah.
Then we transitioned to this idea that this was not cancer.
Right.
And this was not, something that altered your life completely. You could still go to Culver's and get a gluten-free bun. You could still do grilled chicken.
I was not in pain on a daily basis from it because I ate gluten-free. It was manageable
by eating a gluten-free diet.
Yeah.
So then we went through several years of just like, this is kind of like the thorn in your side that you're going to have to live with. And then about 2 years ago?
Yeah.
2 years ago, God just told you that he did not create your body to be this way. And we began to then start praying for healing again. Yeah. Not that we never did, but it wasn't like a focus. Like
it wasn't
there for a while,
huge focus.
Every time at church there was healing, or when we were at youth conventions, you would go down front, or I'd raise my hand when they said like, raise your hand if you need a healing or a miraculous touch from God. We would stand in the gap for you.
And I even feel like I went through a season and still even a little bit up until I was just healed, that I always felt like, okay, it's not cancer. So I didn't.
It could be worse.
It could be worse. And I feel like now looking back, that's such a foolish attitude to have about it. Like, no, something was wrong with my body, and I need to ask for healing for it whenever I can. But I felt like it was more of like almost a selfish thing to ask for that, which that's really
like in the big scheme of things, I just have celiac disease. It's not that bad.
Right.
Grow up.
Right.
Just suck it up.
Right.
But
Exactly.
about 2 years ago, we started to begin to pray again for
Yep.
this. You also felt
Yeah.
you're supposed to bring the girls into prayer for that.
Yeah. I felt like God was telling me, like, hey, I want you to ask the girls to pray for healing for you so that when you are healed, they have buy-in. They get to really feel like they were a part of it.
And
So,
I wouldn't say every night, but probably once a week
yeah.
at their nighttime, that's what they'd
Yeah.
pray. That mommy,
Yep.
you know.
And
possessed
since
with
this has
disease.
all happened, actually, one of the leaders in our children's church department, she told me, she was like, "Hey, I think this is so amazing because Stella, oftentimes during church, she would raise her hand when it came to prayer requests and ask for you to be healed." So that was just really cool piece of all this. But
Okay, so you hopped into the middle.
hopped in the middle. They were all praying for me. It was a very powerful moment. And then one of the ladies, I would describe her as a prayer warrior. She's
An elder of the church.
an elder of the church, basically. This lady knows how to pray. She just said, "Hey, I don't know why, but I feel like the Lord is asking me to sing over you in the spirit." And she chuckled a little bit because she said, "You're like this amazing singer," talking about me.
I agree.
Thank you. She said, "You're an amazing singer. I am not, but the Lord is asking me to do this, so I'm going to do it." And I said, "Please bring it on. Let's do this."
By praying in the spirit, I mean, we're talking about speaking in tongues. But
Correct.
in a melody sort of way.
Melody type
Is
form.
that right?
Yeah. That's what it
Melody.
was. Yes. Yeah, you got
her
it.
falsetto.
Terminology. No, it was not.
I should have stopped when I was ahead.
You should have.
Okay,
So-
singing in the spirit over you.
Yes. So singing the spirit over me. And then she said, "Hey, also, I feel like God is just asking me to kind of wave my hands over this, like this over you, like a kind of like a dome type action."
Like
She
she's
said,
covering you. with
yeah,
prayer.
she's just covering me with,
Yep.
with prayer. And she said, "I don't know why, but I feel like I'm supposed to do it." I said, let's do it.
Yep.
So she started doing that. All the other ladies again joined in praying and praying in tongues over me. And I was overcome by the Holy Spirit and fell back and found myself on the floor.
Some people would say you were slain in the spirit.
Yes,
We go
basically
to a
I was.
Pentecostal church for
Yeah.
those that don't know.
Yeah. And again, that might be out there for some people, but this is just what happened for me. This is my testimony and what I experienced. So I found myself on the floor. And then basically the only way I can really put it into words is that I felt like a heavy weight on my stomach. And and it wasn't painful by any means, but I felt like I was exhaling out the disease. So basically it was pushing down on me and it was coming out. And I felt like I did that for a very long time.
And the way you described it is that you like actually exhaled, like you.
Yes, I was like all the air out of my body. It could have been 2 seconds. It could have been 2 minutes. I honestly don't know, but it felt like a very long time for me, like longer than anyone could ever exhale and still be living, So I did that. I felt as though I was healed because I had never had an experience like that before. It was very powerful, moving, and I felt that I had been healed. So, came home that night, told you.
No, you called me on the way home,
Oh, I did.
and I was playing video games. So I take like one ear off, and I'm like still playing. You're like, "So I was slain in the spirit tonight, and I was healed from celiac disease." I was like, that sounds. What'd you just say? I was like, "Guys, I think I gotta go."
Yeah.
Bye. And I got off the Xbox.
Yeah.
You get home, told me the story.
Told you the whole story, and you were like, "Amen. Let's trust it. Let's believe it," But for me, then immediately the mind game started. And I want to be very clear that I never thought that God couldn't heal me. I truly believe that he could, but I was more so worrying about if I had got it wrong. Did I miss that? Did he really heal me? Did I just get in my emotions and feel that I missed it? Not that God had missed it, but that had I missed what had really happened. So, just kind of began to doubt and had that fear kind of come in.
Did you misinterpret the moment?
Correct. Yes.
not missed it or missed the opportunity, but
Yes.
maybe it was your own thoughts and you
Yes.
created that,
Correct.
that it wasn't actually
Right.
a healing.
Right. Exactly. So for me, I felt like, okay, I just want an extra confirmation because I knew what would happen to me if I ate gluten, if I tested this out, if I had been healed.
Well,
So
we always pray, even before I met you,
mm-hmm.
I always pray for like billboard type faith that like, if I've always said this before, that if God can heal the blind, make the lame
Yes.
walk, do miracles, he can be very clear on where he's asking maybe the next step, not
Right.
30 steps, but the next step.
Right.
And so we just began to pray, give us
Yeah.
that sign.
Yeah.
Like, because of the severity of your disease or sickness, like if we get this wrong, we're going to the hospital.
We're going to the hospital. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's probably in an ambulance.
Yeah.
Or I'm slapping you.
Not a fun time.
Wake
We tell
up.
those stories another time.
So we just wanted to be very clear
Yeah.
that, man, God, you feel like you got healed. I'm going to believe that.
Yeah.
And
So
let us know that we know.
right.
Yep.
So I've had God speak to me a lot through dreams. And so we prayed that night, okay, God, give me a dream to confirm this for me, just so I know that I'm healed, so that I can eat gluten in confidence and not be sick. So went to bed that night, woke up the next morning, and I didn't have a dream. And I was pretty disappointed and a little frustrated with God, a little perturbed. I was like, come on, God, I just really needed that extra reassurance.
Yep.
And looking back, I just kind of want to slap myself like, you should have just trusted that. That should have been enough, but we are weak and he is strong. So, I didn't have the dream. So that next morning, the whole day I was just praying and read a lot in the Bible about healing. I read the story of the woman who bled for years. Your parents talked about that last week, which I thought was kind of cool. And then I also watched some testimonial videos of people who had been healed specifically of celiac disease. I just Googled people healed miraculously of celiac disease. And this woman's testimonial video came up on YouTube. And very similar kind of experiences that I had. And then she felt like God told her to take communion with her family for the first time with a non-gluten-free piece of bread. And I immediately was just like, oh, what a great idea. And I was like, I want to do it. I'm going to take that step of faith, and that's what we're going to do as a family so my girls can be a part of this. And that morning I had told our girls, I feel like God healed me last night. I did call, your family, my family. So I had been telling other people already I was healed. It was building my confidence as I'm telling people, and trusting in that healing. So told you, hey, on your way home, get some bread. Let's do this together.
Yeah. Right before that though. So the next day happens. You didn't have the dream. You texted me.
Yeah.
I'm at school. You said, Tyler, did you have a dream?
Yes.
I said, no, I didn't have a dream. Did you have a
Yes.
dream? No, I didn't have a dream. So then I
Thank
sent
you.
out the message to my group of friends, my best friends, and just said, hey, Alyseia got healed from celiac disease. Just help us pray through this, what to do. We've never walked through a miracle like this. We just need some guidance. And Chase Westfall was at a healing service the night before praying for his healing.
At the same time that I was praying
the same time that
for
you were
my
praying for
healing.
your healing.
Yeah.
And he has some GI issues and just really needs a new colon. And this is what he texted back. He said, bro, last night when I was praying for healing for a new functioning colon, Alyseia came to my mind. For whatever reason, I had this funny feeling like I was like if I'm asking for a new colon, she should ask God to heal her for her gluten intolerance. It was quick. It was quite clear as day. I know several people who are gluten-free, and I barely know Alyseia, but specifically she came to my mind during prayer last night for whatever reason. This is super cool. I'm continuing to believe with you guys for healing for celiac disease.
Yeah.
So later that day, I talked to him, and he basically said he's got a lot of friends that have celiac disease, but you specifically came to his mind, and the time frames are the exact same times that night. And that was kind of like your confirmation that we needed.
Yeah.
That
That was,
you're like, God, I need a dream. And in reality,
Yeah.
it wasn't the dream you're asking for, but he still confirmed that.
yeah. So I felt like it was even better than if God gave me a dream that would be just all for myself. And this is why God is so cool, because instead of giving me a dream in the confirmation so I could have that all for myself, he confirmed it by using another person to help edify them and build up their faith.
Yep. That what they saw or heard
Yes.
was actually God.
Was God, and
Yep.
that just, I mean, I told you, I like ugly cried when you sent me that
You
text that your
texted me,
friend,
not me crying on the floor with my daughters running around.
I was weeping because I was just, first of all, so ashamed that I had been so frustrated with God for not giving me a dream. And then like how cool and how much better are God's ways than ours. Of course they are. And the fact
Yep.
that he had chosen to confirm it that way to edify and build up another person rather than just
Yeah.
my own selfish dream, So anyway,
Okay, so I show up with a loaf of French bread.
Show up with the bread.
Got the Welch's grape juice.
Sparkling grape juice.
I cut it up. We put it on a paper plate. We pour a little drink, and our kitchen's getting redone, so all we could find is red Solo cups.
Yep.
So we poured a little bit of Welch's grape juice in 4 Solo cups.
Yes.
Brought them into the living room. Milana's just trying to knock everything down. She's trying to eat the bread.
Bite.
Yeah, bite. So we sit down,
Yeah.
explain to the girls what happened in a little bit more detail, tell them we're going to take communion.
Yep.
And to be honest, it wasn't a super holy spiritual moment.
It was not.
Cups were almost getting knocked over. Stella and Eliza were just asking when they could take the bread, when they can eat the bread, if they can have another piece.
And Eliza didn't like it, so Stella's like, "Can I eat hers?"
Yeah. Eliza's like, I don't like this bread. So I was like, can I have her communion? They wanted refills of the grape juice. I would like to say it was like this moment where we're all crying and gathering together. It was as chaotic as you can think of.
It was reality.
Taking communion with
Yeah.
3 girls running around.
Yeah. And
We
I
took the
also
communion.
wish that I could say that I took it with confidence. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to eat this bread. But like, I was afraid. I was even almost shaking as I ate this bread, because if I wasn't healed, I knew what was going to come from eating this whole piece of
And
bread.
it was just 3 hours before you were on
Yes.
stage to sing.
Right.
Which usually hits you around 2 hours after eating.
Yeah.
So it would have been like,
It would
crucial.
have.
I would have been with you, all that stuff.
It would have been very bad. So I felt like that was even an extra step of faith for me, knowing that if I'm not healed and I eat this bread, I'm passing out on stage as I'm singing for I Am Her conference.
I do remember there was a moment where I just looked at you and I was like, not over spiritual, but just like, do you think you're healed?
Right.
Like, do you doubt the moment? Do you, you're like, no, I know what I felt.
Yes.
It was confirmed by Chase Westfall. We believe it. I believe it. I said, what are we worried about?
Right.
And you're like, all right, let's do this.
And it was crazy because that night after they had, they were done praying for me, the prayer warrior woman came up to me and she's like, so what's your next step?
Are you protecting your identity or something?
No, I don't know.
I'm just joking. Go ahead.
I don't know. But she just said, what's your next step? I said, I don't know. I really need to pray about how to go about this. She was like, well, why don't you just pray and ask God if you should eat something or not? And I'm like, it's that simple, isn't it? It's that simple. And I felt like I was saying, do this communion. So we did it. I ate it and I had no symptoms that night.
And you started by saying, I wish I was confident in it.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't that, I was confident, but there's this so much worry when you're stepping out in faith. Mm-hmm. And I remember I was texting you every 45 minutes.
You were.
Like, do you feel anything?
Are you okay?
Do you feel anything?
Yeah.
You okay? Are you on the ground?
Uh-huh.
Do I need to, not that I doubted, but just that's when you go 11 years of just living in fear that if you accidentally get glutened, it's like literally passing out while I'm driving down the interstate in the passenger seat. So
that happened once. Because it had been 11 years of us doing this. It had become second nature to us. Nothing happened to communion. You go to I Am Her night. Yep. You call me afterwards. You had a crumble cookie. I ate it up.
You lived a good life.
I did. I ate gluten, and then I'd say for the next 2, 3, 4 days, even after.
We'll go back to that night. I mean, you went there and you were telling people that were at the prayer night, and people were just
people were
bananas.
Jumping, literally jumping. They were so excited.
Couple of them
for
just
me.
were bawling.
Yes, they were just
crying.
because they had witnessed it and they had seen it. So that was also really, that's what's so cool about miracles and healing, is that people who witness it and see it, it builds their faith. It's a faith builder. It points all to Jesus. And so they were so excited, not just for me personally, but just excited that God is who he says he is. They literally witnessed it happen, you know?
Yep. So over the next,
I'd
2
say,
weeks?
Yeah. I mean, since then, the amount of gluten I have eaten.
Well, let's go back. Let's start here. So I think we need to bring some reality to the fact that, like, if this didn't happen,
right?
If the miracle didn't take place, you would not be able to do what you're doing.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, this is not like I had a little bit of knee pain, and I'm not trying to take away any other miracle, but like, this isn't like, okay, my elbow kind of hurt and then now it just hasn't hurt for like 2 weeks.
Right.
This is like, you will not be able to do a sliver of what we've been doing.
No.
I mean, the second day you ate DiGiorno pizza, which is not the greatest pizza.
No,
I mean,
it was what was in the
It's
freezer,
a great
though.
frozen pizza, but you were like, this is what pizza tastes like.
Yeah. It's been wild.
Crumble cookie.
All of the things I've eaten and had no issues, as if I were eating gluten-free, you know? So I would say.
That next day you said, like, well, do I ease into it? Do I not?
Right.
Like,
How do I go about this?
and I just said, like, if you're healed, maybe it could be a process, but we felt like you were healed that night, not like you got to like,
right.
It was almost like a shock to your system.
Right.
Wouldn't necessarily be in a full healing. Because even some people you talk to was like, so are you going to like ease into it?
Right.
And I was like, Alyseia, if you're healed, you are as if you don't have celiac disease.
Right.
So one pizza is not going to affect you just like it doesn't affect me or anyone else.
Right.
So then you went full bore.
I did. But I will say it took me 2, 3, even 4 days after that happened.
It was a solid week.
To fully act as though I had been healed. Like, yes, I would eat
there's
some
still
gluten-free
a little bit of
things.
timidness.
I was fearful.
Yeah.
I really was.
Yeah.
And looking back now, I feel foolish, but that's just the reality of it, you know. The anxiety of eating something was pretty strong for a couple days, but now the fear is completely gone. And for me, this healing is not like, oh, yay, now I get to eat pasta and pizza and all that. Like, while I am excited about that, it's more so the fear is gone of if I accidentally eat gluten and I could become very sick.
Well, there's even like 3 or 4 restaurants in Sioux City that are supposed to be gluten-free that have maybe done some cross-contamination that we won't go back to. Well, now we can, but because you got, sick from it, or even just the other day, you had some gluten-free nuggets that were supposed to be gluten-free and they caused you some serious pain.
Right.
So like that to me, and that's what we talked about. Like, yes, you can have crumble cookie. That's cool. We can go out to eat. You can cook one meal, but more than that, it's the fear. Right. And we also talked about like mission trips was always an issue with us, going overseas like on a mission trip, or like, the church is taking a trip to Israel. We're like, that's just not possible right now.
Right.
I mean, can you imagine if you accidentally got glutened in
I don't
Israel and have to go to the hospital? Like, we're not doing that. So this has opened so much more than just like, okay, you can have Jerry's Pizza.
Right.
Which we did have last night. It was fire.
I did.
It was fire. But that's not the cool part.
Yeah.
The cool part is the freedom, the being able to cook, or the other thing is too, like when we get invited over to people's houses.
Yeah.
It was always like, okay.
They'll say, I'll make that gluten-free for you. And it's like, no offense, but like,
did you check all the seasonings? Did you check all the sauces?
Yeah.
Are you going to swap the spatulas?
Right.
Like,
and I always hated that, you know,
and
feel like I was a burden, you know? And for me, like the first time I went to the grocery store after this has happened, I was just like, I felt like Willy Wonka or it's a whole new world of all this stuff I can now realize I can have.
In the 3 years we've had the Renewing the Mind podcast, we have not made one singing reference, play reference, And you've done 2 in one show.
Yeah, for sure.
Of The Sound of Music.
Yes.
Was that the first one?
Sound of Music was the first one. What was the one I just did?
Aladdin.
Ooh.
Well, we just listened to it in the car on the way here. So, okay. So let's get into now.
Yeah.
After that. So that's been cool. You've been eating gluten-free.
Yes.
I mean,
not gluten-free.
Yeah, not gluten-free. It's a miracle.
It really is.
It's proven by your actions, by what you
100%.
ate. So now you got another couple of points, or do you want me to jump to some of mine?
Yeah, so I'll just say that I did call my gastroenterologist because I do feel like I'm supposed to have this clinically proven that it's a healing, but unfortunately she's booked up until June. So listen in June and we'll have an update for you, but I do want to get this proven so that there's no doubt.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? That there's no way you can say this happened other than God.
Yep. And we talk about this even before this happened, but miracles are not necessarily. There's several reasons why miracles happen, but the main reason is to give God all the glory.
Yeah.
Right, that God can show up and show out. And because in all reality, it sounds morbid, but you can go to heaven with celiac disease.
Yeah.
Right. You can go to heaven with being blind or not being able to walk or having those symptoms. So it is about your life and life to the fullest on this earth. But the main thing is for the glory of God. And so you felt like God tell you that, why the time now and why did you get healed now? So go into that.
Yeah. One of the things I wrote down, I asked God, why now? Why after 11 years am I finally healed? And the first thing he said, which was a little painful for me, he said, you weren't ready until now. And I was like, well, what do you mean? Of course I'm ready. Of course I don't want this. Of course I don't want this to be a part of my life. And he said, you were too comfortable with it. You just got used to living with it. And I was like, ouch, it's true. I did.
That's back to when we just were like, it's not that bad.
Right.
It's not.
Right.
You can't have some desserts.
Right.
I mean, it was way worse than that, but that's kind of how we justify.
I had just gotten used to living with it and
comfortable in your pain.
Yeah, making it work.
Yep.
And then the second thing he told me was, now is when I'm going to get the most glory from it.
Yep.
And I was like, okay,
cool,
amazing.
Yeah,
sounds good to me.
Yeah. Real quick for anyone watching, if you got any questions or comments, I mean, you guys have flooded a ton of comments there, but if you got any questions specifically for me or Alyseia, throw them in there. We're going to wrap up here in the next 10, 15 minutes or so. So get your comments in there. We'll try to answer them, throw them on the screen as we continue to close this out. Any other thoughts you got on that or any points you want to make?
Just 2 more thoughts.
Let's go.
So just some more cool layers to this whole healing is that we are literally in the middle of a kitchen
remodel.
That's the word. Remodel. My brain couldn't get there. Kitchen remodel. So like, how cool is that we are getting a brand new kitchen where I'm going to be able to not have to worry about doing two separate pans of things, or where I have to worry about this counter is for the gluten-free stuff, this counter is not. Like, brand new kitchen, brand new way of cooking. And then the second thing was, I told Tyler, and you've shared this I think a couple podcasts ago, that we're in the process of getting you set up for weight loss surgery. And so I feel like God is just saying, hey, you both are getting your new bodies this year, and I'm excited. I got mine.
Watch out, world.
Now your turn to have your new body. It's coming.
I mean, we did make some jokes though that like the day we went to my latest appointment, I was like, I need to take you around a tour of all the greatest foods in Sioux City. And I literally called it a farewell tour because like I'm not going to be able to eat like I've been eating. And we get to the doctor's appointment and the doctor was like, and there's no farewell tours. There's no last suppers.
She's like, you will eat normally again, smaller portions.
I said, I got to take you to the trifecta. Stone Brew, Casey's Breakfast Pizza, Jitter's Donuts. It's the trifecta.
And I've watched you eat the trifecta every single one of your birthdays.
It's the best birthday breakfast. Once a year, you got to hit the trifecta. You can hit the trifecta this year for your birthday.
I can. I don't know if that would be my trifecta, though.
But
it's
trifecta. The trifecta.
We'll see.
Okay. Any other thoughts you got?
I don't think so.
Okay. I got a couple thoughts. Number one, I think healing is a very confusing, it's a very frustrating, very hard to explain, very hard to put into words, why it happens, who it happens to, when it happens, like why now?
Right.
We feel like we're at a place where, like you said, God said you could get all the glory. I know Pastor Bill Yanni has been praying for signs, wonders, and miracles in the church. And, Morningside was doing the same thing though, too. So it's not like, one is better than the other, or it's just like, we've been praying for that. One of the first things I thought about in Podcast Family, we've discussed this, it's like Mama passed away from cancer. So it's like, why didn't she receive her healing?
Right.
Do we have more faith now than we did then? I don't think so.
Yeah.
We fasted and prayed it as family. I believe Mama had faith for healing. So it's like, why did that happen and that not happen and this happen?
Yeah.
And when you're adding it up selfishly, I'm like, well, you can live with celiac disease. She couldn't continue to live with cancer.
Right.
Right. And so when we get to this place where it's like God has a sovereign plan, but we see evidence in scripture that God's mind has been changed by people that come before him and intercede on other people's behalfs, on their behalf, and he does change. We know miracles take place. You're an evidence of miracles take place. We believe that whatever anyone is facing, cancer, disease, sickness, God is bigger than that.
Right.
But I don't think I can sit here, and maybe some people are holier than me. I don't think we can put into a system of why the miracle took place.
Yeah.
And I think that is what makes people get pretty frustrated sometimes when you're praying for miracles. What, did they have more faith than me? Do I not have enough faith? And all we come to is saying, and this is what I say for when I pray for people. Just talk to a student that's going through a tough time, and I say the same thing every time because I don't want to lead people astray. Is I believe God can do the miraculous, and I'm going to pray that he will do the miraculous until he does or doesn't.
Yeah.
And that's really the only thing we can stand on.
Right.
Because if it was a formula, you could go to all the children's hospitals and all the cancer centers, and you could walk in and do the formula and see the miracle take place.
Yeah.
And so as Christians, that is faith.
Yeah.
That we believe that God has a plan and that Mama's healing happened on that side of eternity and not this side of eternity.
Right. She was healed.
She was
She
healed.
has a new body.
I don't like that healing.
Correct.
I would much rather have her healed here. And I'm sure there's a ton of people listening that have family members, or you're going through an issue or a struggle right now. And it's like, why them? Why not me?
Yeah.
And all I can keep telling people is God does miracles.
Yeah.
Let's continue to believe. I mean, theoretically, we've been praying for this miracle for 12 years, on and off. And I know your parents have been praying for it. My parents have been praying for it. There's people from all the way at Community Hope in Montezuma, Iowa, to Morningside Assembly of God, to now Family Worship Center. Like you've had this disease for a long time.
Yeah.
And think of all the people that have prayed and laid hands on you, and all the conventions you went down
All
for,
the
and all the
people
church
who made
services.
food for me.
All the people that are rejoicing that they don't have to make a separate dish for you, or Pastor Bob doesn't have to make a separate chicken with its own seasoning now. So,
It's
you got
true.
any other thoughts? I got a couple more, but are you
I
gonna chime
don't.
in there?
No, I think you're doing good.
Okay. Couple things is the posture of prayer. Posture matters in life, right? So we always say, like, to basketball teams or anyone that like loses, what does everyone tell them? If you lose a game, keep your head up. Thank you, sports fan.
Okay. Yep. That's what I was gonna say.
So when you lose, we do this, and everyone says, no, keep your head up. Right? Keep your head up.
Makes
Walk
sense.
off the court. Hold your head high. You tried. And
So it's like if I was singing a solo and didn't quite nail the high note.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
See,
yes.
I get it now.
Almost the same thing. So posture matters when you're giving a presentation, a sermon. Your parents say sit up straight,
Right.
shoulders back. There's posture matters in this world. You know, like when I'm talking to Stella and she's mopey, or I'm trying to discipline her and she's not looking at me, I'm like, look at me, sit up straight, stop laying around. It matters. And if it matters in this world, then I think posture matters in the spiritual world as well, in the spiritual realm. And the posture that you come asking for a miracle is a posture of humility, and not a posture of demanding, and not a posture of, if you're God, you will, but a posture of, God, I'm humbly coming before you, knowing that you are the creator of the universe. You're the creator of my body. You are the creator of everything, and you made us perfectly. This world has destroyed that. And I'm asking, and I'm not coming from a place of entitlement, like I need you to, or I won't believe you if you don't. But it's, I'm going to believe you regardless. I'm going to trust in you regardless.
Yeah.
My relationship with you is not going to change. And that's the place I think we come from. Yeah. And I can't tell you that you will get healed. I can't tell you that the miracle will take place, but I'll tell you, we're going to continue to pray for miracles until they do or don't happen, right, or happen on this side or the other side of eternity. And I think posture is something that I think we really need to come with.
Yeah. And I will say, the more I see things like this in my life or experience things like this, I am more and more aware of how intricate things are and how we only see a small part of the puzzle. You know, we see our 4 or 5 little pieces that fit together, but God is looking at this huge picture with all of these other people's lives involved. And so at some point in time in your journey of life, you may feel like things are just at a lull or nothing is happening for you, but God is working all these other things, getting things set up so that then this other piece can then be put into place. And I truly feel like that's what God was meaning for me when he was saying, now is when I'm going to get the most glory for it. We haven't even seen that fully play out yet, you know?
Yep.
And then I feel like it's going to happen in years and years to come.
Yeah, I think 2 things, and I don't say this selfishly, not selfishly, I don't say this arrogantly, but we do believe that one day we'll be head pastors of a church. We do believe that one day we will pastor a church. And for whatever reason, God has put us in a place of holding right now. I love Sulai Christian. I love being the chaplain there.
It's been perfect. It's
been awesome. I love it. But I do believe that we are called to be pastors one day. And it's taken several months of arguing with God over the summer and into even the early parts of this year. I kept telling him, we're ready. We're ready to, you know, where are we going to plant? When are we going to plant? What's it? We were even looking at buildings. I really just felt like God said, not right now. Like, chill.
Chill, Tyler.
Chill.
Breathe a little.
Enjoy
where you're at.
What I'm telling you to do.
And do it
Flourish
well.
Where you're planted.
Yes.
I'm always wanting to go on to the next thing. And I think this is a piece, you getting healed from celiac disease. I think my surgery and me getting healthy is a piece of that. And I think God's going to use your miracle and your story, my miracle and my story of conquering my disease of overeating and gluten or gluttony. And
eating too much gluten. Yeah.
Yeah. Eating too much gluten to do something incredible. And I'll just leave you with this last thing is that, like, if we believe God is the God of the universe, and we believe that he can do miracles and that he is the all powerful, all knowing, all encompassing God, then why would we not pray bold type prayers?
Yeah.
Like, anything less than that is disrespectful. Anything less than that is like belittling who God is and what he can do in our life. And so I just encourage you that whatever you're praying for, pray those bold prayers. Like, to not pray those bold prayers is to say God can't do that.
Yeah.
And I think that's the main thing that I took away from this. I mean, there's hundreds of things, but right now I really feel like God's telling me, like, this is just the start of what I'm asking you to pray for. Like, bold praise. Think of all the people that you've touched and that will hear this story and listen to this podcast, that will then be encouraged to say, well, if God did it for her, God can do it for me.
Yeah.
You know, and think of the ripple effect of encouraging and uplifting people's faith to pray bold prayers. Why would we not pray bold prayers? That's been something I don't understand. Right. And I've said that before your healing took place. Why would we not pray for God to do the incredible? And we have another list of things that we believe God is going to continue to do. And so I just encourage you, if you got some prayer needs, you got some miracles, you got some struggles, pray that bold prayer, because God is powerful enough to do that.
Yep.
He does miracles. We know he can do miracles, and we're going to pray until he does the miracle or doesn't. And either way, we're trusting God.
It's the best thing.
Any last thoughts?
I don't think so.
Let me check my sticky note that I put my notes on.
I know I'm checking all my scribbles here on this paper. I think
Okay.
I got it all.
Throw a couple comments up here. I know you can't see it, but your mom says, "We rejoice with you. I think it's the beginning of something special. He is up to something."
Yes.
My dad said, "Keep your head up, walk tall. You left it all on the field." See, that's the sports analogy. Like, keep your head up. You got this.
Can't say I can relate.
Dad follow up. Yes, bold prayers. Keep asking. Pastor Bill Yanni, amen. Your mom came with an amen, and my dad ended with, and the power of praying women at I Am Her.
Yes.
So thankful for that ministry and what they've done for just giving. That was one of the first things you did in the fall.
September was the first one I was a part of. And
yep.
Man, women praying is powerful. Not that men praying isn't, but
I agree. A praying woman is unstoppable.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. Well, we're getting out of here. We were supposed to get at 45. We're at 48, 49. So we're 4 minutes over. I feel like that's all right. But on this podcast, we teach you how to renew your perspective, move towards uncertainty, and find what's awesome about that in every situation. And never forget it. There's 2 times to be great: when you feel like it and when you don't. We love you, family. See you later.
I had to realize what's inside of me. For all of the people that lied to me, for all of the people that said I would fall off. Oh, boy, what a time to be alive. I wrote this for everyone, feel like they counted out. You need to look in the mirror and tell yourself it's time to be who I am now. Greatness.